Good evening, Central Coast. Minutes after 6 bells right here on Living the Run. I'm your host, Rex Stevens. Olympian Paul Tarek out tonight, but a great show going. We got CJ Silas coming on in about 10 minutes. CJ getting ready for a triathlon. She's going to talk a little blood boiler, what she did to get that blood to boil today. We're going to talk triathlon. We're going to talk a little roller derby and more as always. CJ, a great personality, as you know, on this show. We got Matt Smith coming in, movement specialist out of Austin, Texas. Seeing a lot of people there at the University of Texas, the athletes coming out of there, as well as a lot of professional athletes that train out there in Austin. We're going to talk some of the most basic, folks, some of the most basic, fundamental, functional screenings you can do yourself at home to assess whether you're getting great joint mobility out of different spots. And this is going to be a little series for us here, right here on Living the Run, where, each and every week we are trying to bring you health and fitness at its highest level. We're trying to give you those little nuggets each and every week that you might be able to take with you to say, hey, I am better because of this. And we're going to talk with Matt Smith about that, some just basic functional stuff. And let me just say this, and I'll repeat it a little bit later. We're not talking about injury necessarily, and we're not talking about pain, but we're talking about assessing the body in such a way as is even in times without pain. We're talking about saying, hey, are there avenues for us to suggest that we may be able to make changes before we get arthritis, before we get joint pain, before we get our activities of daily living struck down and we get tied up not being able to do the things we love to do because we didn't prevent something that we could have found out about. And so it's not all about symptoms, guys. We're going to actually give you some things to start to look at and start to kind of ponder on a little bit and check yourself to be able to say, hey, I'm going to catch this before it becomes a problem. That kind of preventative approach right here on Living the Run. If it's the first time joining us, guys, we're here each and every week from 6 to 7 o'clock right here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. You can follow us on Facebook.com/Living the Run. Always full of good interviews, always full of good stuff. I had to start here. I don't know if any of you saw this. 91-year-old woman breaks the marathon record. Let me say that again, guys. 91 years old. Woman breaks the marathon record. And, of course, in our competitive mode, as we sit there in the car, we got to know, well, what was the time? I'll give you that right now. 7 hours, 7 minutes, and 42 seconds. Her 15th marathon in 16 years. Couple things groundbreaking from this woman. Her whole family, you go and read the article about her whole family, seemingly, and I say the whole, but she's had numerous members, as I'm sure some of you sitting at home or sitting in your car now have experienced tragically, have died to cancer. They've been struck down by the illness, and they've been beat up by it. And here's a lady who's no different than some of you, and you know how difficult that can be. And some of the evidence, and this is a tough one, the C word is a tough one, I think, for all of us. And the evidence is all over the fact that we can make some changes in our lifestyle to improve our probabilities that we'll either be able to successfully fight cancer or that we might be able to prevent it and avoid it. I was talking to Jan over there at Jan's husband, Pete, over there at the Avila Bay Club. And, Jan runs a great program over there. We'll have to have her on a show sometime where it's really, folks who have been dealing with cancer, been going through some of the therapies, whether they chose chemotherapy or radiation or surgery or even some alternative route. And it's a cancer fit program. And, just being around somebody like Jan is positive enough. And we know that being around positive people only leads to, again, higher probabilities of successful results in anything that we do. But just being around Jan is a brilliant thing. And if you haven't heard of this program, you got to get over there. But she's also got them doing fitness type things to be able to just regenerate muscle, regenerate the ability to make energy, to be able to get oxygenation more efficient again and get the body going. But here's a woman, Harriet Thompson, 91 years old. She starts marathons, though, at age 76. And I was talking to Rick today from Tennis Warehouse, and, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. This idea that so many people have shut themselves down mentally which is shut themselves down physically. Oh, I'm 30, can't do it anymore. I hit my 40s. It all went to hell in a handbasket. I'm in my 50s, no way I could run. I'm in my 60s, just no energy. And they just have one excuse after another that often follows some numerical age bracket. Here's a lady who's seeing members of her family follow similar patterns. She doesn't know if she's going to follow the same pattern, but what she does know is that if she gets exercising and gets moving, she increases the chance that her fitness level goes up, that her health goes up, and that she may be able to stave off some of these debilitating chronic conditions that are out there. But, the reality is if you look at you got to Google this lady. Again, Harriet Thompson, 91 years old, breaking the marathon record. She's got a huge smile on her face, and you know that she's encouraged by all of the community around. I was listening to Greg Braden the other night on Hay House, and if you've never listened to Hay House, Louise Hay wrote that fantastic book years and years ago called You Can Heal Yourself. She went on to start Hay House Publishing Company, where all your big names, Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, and all these guys all right under Hay House. But what happens with this group is they run this thing called Hay House World Summit, and for 2 weeks, and I think they do this once a year, they have a bunch of these guys speak and do different podcasts. Greg Braden, he's one of my favorite guys, former physical scientist who has tried to bridge the gap and bring people up to speed with relation to the spiritual and the scientific. For so long, both of these things were kind of considered to be opposites, that they clashed and that you couldn't really unite the two. But science actually shows that it does. It's just, it tends to struggle to get out to the mainstream, that the things behind spiritual, those that make us spiritual, if you will. And when we're talking about spiritual, we're not talking about religion. We're talking about those things like love and kindness, sincerity, compassion, all those things that we all have and we all know, but that are difficult to measure. Happiness, if you will. How those tie into, and thoughts, we've talked about Bruce Lipton before, biology of belief, very, very interesting thing on thoughts, but how all those things tie into science, if you will, the physical nature of science, the chemicals in our body and so forth. And Greg was brilliant because he was really talking about how the science out there now is suggesting that this idea of competition all the time and this survival of the fittest Darwinism mentality is really kind of shown to be a very, very small percentage of human life, as well as animal life, plant life. And that the reality is that we're not designed to be in competition all the time, but rather that we're designed to be more in cooperation. It's not to say that there is never competition, not at all, but that, again, it's a more minute part of our lives, and the cooperation is more. Well, where do we see this? We've seen this over and over. We've had all kinds of people on this show, Living the Run, talking marathons, talking ultra marathons, talking bike races. And what do they all say? They all say one of the reasons they do it is because the community of the folks around the race, both participants as well as fans, is what drives them to keep going. And if you look at this lady, Harriet Thompson, 91-year-old, running a marathon in 7 hours and 7 minutes, folks, we got to start taking the limitations away. We have to start taking the limitations away from ourselves mentally and say, hey, I can do it. And it's not about competing with the next person. It's not about competing with the coach or your neighbor or your sibling. If that doesn't float your boat, don't do it, because you know that that's going to start to squash your motivation, squash your energy. Just get out there and move, and there is no excuse not to. She started at 76. The lady decided to start taking on marathons at 76 years old. Kind of neat lady. She talks about some of the things that she was a concert pianist, and she talks about some of the pieces that she starts to get running through her head, different ones that have up-tempo and great speed to them. And they get her going, and they motivate her while she's out there, and she just gets more and more excited. She's raising money, I believe, for the Lymphoma Society, and just such a neat story. But guys, never use that excuse that you're too old or that you're washed up or that it's just not going to work for you. It just simply is an excuse. You need to get the book by Wayne Dyer, Excuses Be Gone, if you need some motivation. But I'll tell you what else, and this is a tougher thing. Stop hanging around with people that make the excuses. When you go to these marathons, you go to these triathlons, you go to these races, you enter any competition, whatever it might be. Heck, look at the guys. I just saw a guy from the Pit in the clinic. One of the reasons he goes to the Pit, why the community? Why are people doing CrossFit? We've talked about it over and over on this show. Because of the community. If you're around people that are negative Nelly all the time, if you're around people that always tell you all the reasons why you can't do something or all the reasons they can't do something or why they shouldn't do something, find some new people to hang out with. Get some people to motivate you. Get some people to get excited with you and get out there and get moving. Guys, we've got CJ Silas coming in next. Always excited to have her. Don't forget Matt Smith. We're going to talk some movement specialist stuff later on in the show. And then we got one more thing on the docket as well tonight before tips and takeaways tonight. And that is this guy that just set the record for most days in a row running. I love this. Most days in a row running. Just to give you a clue, this guy started back in the 60s. Been running for a long time. Hasn't missed a day. All this and more, folks, you're listening to Living the Run right here on ESPN 1280, The Ticket.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280, The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from leftlanesports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, leftlanesports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit leftlanesports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. leftlanesports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Art Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
Did you know that many people endure aches and pains in their feet, legs, and back, but few recognize the solution for some of the more common causes are as simple as a more supportive and comfortable insole? At Cadence Insoles, we understand the insole in your shoe provides the first line of support and comfort for your feet. Designed by physical therapists and recommended by podiatrists, Cadence insoles provide the elusive combination of orthotic support with the shock-absorbing comfort of an insole. A local business? Visit cadenceinsoles.com for more information. Cadence Insoles. Support made comfortable.
We're back with Living the Run.
Blood Boiler, folks, brought to you by Art Cyclery. Check them out at artcyclery.com or out on Suburban Road for all your cycling needs. We blood boil every week. We've been anticipating this next guest's arrival, and I know it's going to happen one of these days. She is CJ Silas. You know her from the CJ Silas Show on ESPN 1280. The Tickets on Thursday nights at 6 o'clock. You know her as the voice at Mustang Baseball. CJ, what'd you do to get your blood to boil today?
Oh, my gosh. Rex, this triathlon is killing me. I can't believe people do this on a regular basis.
Hey, you're lacing up the skates, right? Ready to hit the Bob Jones Trail. Get those skates going, get those quads, get those glutes rolling.
Yes, I did a hike early this morning. I ran up the Sycamore Mineral Springs Trail by Gardens of Avila. Then I rode from Shell Beach back to into Avila Beach and back 14 miles. And now I'm skating the Bob Jones Trail with my roller derby sisters, and I am freaking tired, dude. I can't believe people do this. This is my little bucket list thing, and it's crazy.
Hey, I gotta say, I gotta beef with you. You know, here's the deal: you're a big personality, obviously incredibly likable. You walk into a room, everybody knows CJ commands attention. Yet you pick a triathlon to participate in that couldn't be more under the radar down in Santa Maria. What is this? Explain the decision.
This is the point, Rex. The reason I picked this triathlon is so I don't see a single person that I know, because I'm going to be out of my comfort zone. I'm going to be doing things I've never done before, whether it's swimming, which I've never done before, whether it's getting out of a pool and getting onto a bike, which I've never done before, whether it's riding a long way on a bike competitively and then coming back and putting on my running shoes. It's all so out of my realm of comfort that I thought, why not just sneak down to the Pioneer Valley High School pool and do a triathlon when nobody...
Hey, oh, boy. What is it? Tell us about the course, down in Santa Maria, because like I said, this is not one on everybody's map or on everybody's calendar. We're talking about a mountain bike course, short course here to get going for your first one?
It is. It's a mini. It's a quarter-mile swim, which sounds like to me forever. I guess that's 18 lengths in a pool. I tried to do the math. And then it's a 10-mile kind of hilly street bike ride through Bull Canyon. And then it's a 3-mile run, and we're using the pool at Pioneer Valley High School. And it was the shortest triathlon that I could find in the same month of my birthday. It was kind of like one of those things where I try to do something physically challenging birthday month, and this is what happened. And it's the one going on, and it's quiet, and I'm so scared. Like, literally, I'm having night sweats and nightmares about getting a flat tire and my bathing suit falling off, like all these silly, dumb things, because I've never done any of this before.
She is CJ Silas of the CJ Silas Show right here on ESPN 1280. The Ticket Thursday nights at 6 o'clock. We had Heather Mora on last week. We had 3 guys on the week before, all who had just participated in their first marathon. All of them came back and without a doubt suggested that there are more to come. What is the probability that CJ Silas signs up on Monday of next week for her next triathlon?
The chances are 1,000,000 to 1 that I ever do another triathlon again. I can't keep up with it because, see, for me, I don't want to just not train and get out and do something, so I'm doing things that I don't normally do. I play roller derby 2 or 3 days a week. I hike. I do CrossFit. But I don't swim. I don't get on a bicycle. I saw you at the Avila Bay Athletic Club this weekend. I don't go there, but I go there now because I have to use a pool, because I have to get ready, because I'm not going to go out there and drown. It's probably one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced in my life, and it's all consuming because I have to do something 2 or 3 times a week that I don't normally do. So my workouts are higher. My nutrition has changed because I'm always hungry. I'm eating all the time. Oh, it's exhausting, Rex Stevens.
Hey, I go to the Avila Bay Club just to throw 6- and 7-year-olds around in the pool. That's my workout for the day. Hey, let me shift gears real quick. You watch Cal Poly all year long. We talk a lot about mental aspects of sport and so forth. What was it like for you watching this team play? How did it kind of take you back to your own sports career, athletic career, dealing with disappointment?
First of all, it was probably in my 12 years being at Baggett Stadium the most electric last 3 weeks of the season I've ever been involved in. And then that weekend that the Mustangs were hosting the regional with 6 games over the weekend with Arizona State and Pepperdine and Sacramento State, the crowd was phenomenal. They were present and conscious and knew what was going on in the field at every moment and were supporting the team. It was probably one of the top 5 experiences I've had in my career. Having said that, the disappointment of, I'm not even on the field, watching those guys make the few mistakes that they did while they were playing incredibly well the rest of the time was disheartening. But also, I've seen seasons where the Mustangs were 23 and 38. I've seen the Mustangs when they were 20 and 40. And so to see a Mustang team that's won 40-plus games in more than one season, it's been incredible, and I'm proud of it. And they're just going to get better because Larry Lee's taken this time, and he's really planned and premeditated this team, school, and his program being in the top echelon of college baseball for a long time. This is not going to be just a one-time thing.
Yeah, no reason to hang their heads. Let me ask you this last thing. How are you, CJ Silas, going to define success this weekend at this triathlon?
Well, it's not this weekend. It's in 2 weeks and 3 days. It's the 28th of June, and I would like to finish. I would like to do it without a flat tire. I would like to not come in last, but remember, last is first at the end. It's a physical accomplishment for me. It's really been, actually the truth is, and honestly, Rex, it's been a test of my own integrity and patience in my own skill level, being an athlete my whole life and liking to be and wanting to always be the best in the top. This is something that's really kind of also taught me a little bit about how I should, almost 50 years old, put my ego in check and continue with everything I'm doing. But I don't always, and you were talking about it earlier on the show, we don't always have to go out to compete against other people. And I'm not. I am going out to do something that I never in my whole life ever thought I would do, and I've always wanted to do.
Hey, we commend you for it. And I got to say, you just left a little bit of the door open, June 28th. We all know we might be able to get out there. If you want to watch CJ race in her first triathlon, Santa Maria, we're all going to look it up and knock them dead out there. Hey, I miss you. Paul and I miss you out here in the show. It's a quiet studio on ESPN now, Wednesday nights from 7 o'clock on.
You got to appreciate no more junk food in the studio, though, right? Now that all the kids are gone.
Hey, you doing triathlons? No junk food, absolutely, right? Got to hone in on that diet.
Yeah, well, even on my worst day, that's not what I'm choosing. But I'll give you some one thing that I learned about Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock is if you move to Thursday nights at 6, don't take all the kids with you. So right now it's me, and believe it or not, I only have one staff member on my show.
That's as remarkable as you competing in a triathlon right there.
Right.
Good stuff,
well,
CJ.
I miss you too, man.
Miss you. Thanks, and good luck in a couple weeks.
Thanks.
All right. Good stuff from CJ Silas. Yeah, big personality. If you don't listen to her show, check it out, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock now on Thursday evenings. She's a ton of fun. And, the reality is CJ mentioned it right there, and this is how we started the show. Almost 50 years old. She's tackling new things physically, but as also mentally trying to look at this. And, look at this lady, Harriet Thompson, 91 years old, setting the world record in a marathon, but starting again, guys, at 76 years old. Stop with the limitations. CJ not putting on the limitations and getting the blood to boil. Let me just let you know what we did to get the blood to boil. I had to throw a shout-out to the guys out there today, Kenton, Sandy, and Rando. We went up to the Cal Poly track. We try to do this every Wednesday and put a little obstacle course together. Today, we jogged up there, jogged a mile up, took the medicine balls with us, and one of the things we try to do a little bit is just toss the medicine ball back and forth as we're jogging up for that first mile. And then we ran a mile on the track, just kind of ascending a little bit in speed with each lap. And then we started our cycle. And again, what's really cool, and I talked to a couple of patients today at Slow Wellness Center about these same exact things, and it's saying, hey, what can I do if I have no equipment? What can I do if I'm traveling to Europe? what can I do if I'm staying in a hotel? Certainly the medicine ball thing isn't required. We did use that today, but most of the things we didn't require that. And you can just go and you go to the track and you just look around. You can find things to do. And so we went up, we threw in pull-ups with leg lifts after. So kind of a hanging leg raise for the abdomen and some control there core-wise. We jogged the corner of the track, got over, we threw some medicine balls for 10 and then did 10 burpees at the same spot. We ran a little further. There was a nice little bleacher set up there. And we can kind of makeshift some deadlifts. And again, so we just kind of made up our own thing, threw in some deadlifts, and then ran the corner again and got to some stairs and did some hops up the stairs. And we went through that 4 times as fast as each of us could. And man, the blood was boiling for sure, but it was a lot of fun. And again, we hit onto those major things. If you're not getting in with other members of the community, it sometimes makes it tough to get out there. Not everybody's self-motivated. Blood Boiler always brought to us by Art Cyclery at artcyclery.com. And, guys like, I love those guys over there. And one of them, Scott Smith, one of the owners. I mean, Scott, he's up before everybody. His idea is get to the top of the mountain before the sun, beat the sun. And he is just a phenomenal guy to be around. But not everybody has that gear, that ability to just kind of drive themselves to do that. Scott, that's what makes Scott exceptional in so many ways. But some of us, it's just so good to just be around others, to get in that community, or do what CJ did. And we talked about people in the past. I said Heather Mora, the guys before, Chad, Keith, and Corey. All these guys are signing up for races, getting it on the calendar, and that way it gives them a goal to get to. And again, look to cooperate with your community, look to cooperate with other folks, look to establish that. Maybe back off the competition. I know not everybody's into competition, especially when it comes to their own fitness. If you're not into it, don't do it. It's not a big deal. You can still get healthy. You can still get fit, not falling in to that herd mentality. Guys, I'm excited about the next guest. We got Matt Smith. Stick with us next. Matt Smith, chiropractor, movement specialist out of Austin, Texas, working with some top elite athletes out there. We're going to talk, and we'll talk. We'll get one movement in today, but we can just talk some of that baseline fundamentals behind being able to get some preliminary functional testing for your own movement. And again, this isn't about being in pain, and this is not about rehabbing an injury. This is about saying, hey, are my joints functionally moving the way they're supposed to? Are they symmetrically moving? And might I be able to do one or two things to continue to nourish that and subsequently prevent problems down the road? Such good stuff. You're not going to want to miss this. We're about 33 after 6 bells, guys, right here on Living the Run at ESPN 1280. The Tickets. Stick with us.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go. Go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff put your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from leftlanesports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, leftlanesports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit leftlanesports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. leftlanesports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Arts Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
We're back with Living the Run.
Welcome back to Living the Run, right here on ESPN 1280. The Ticket. Again, if you missed any part of the show, especially that last interview, guys, CJ Silas is a monster energy. So darn motivating. If you don't listen to her show, you should. 6 to 7 o'clock right here on ESPN Thursday nights. But, a lot of fun stuff. And again, get motivated, get out there. She's taking on something she's never done. She's taken on a triathlon. Here's a roller derby athlete. Here's somebody who's been competitive in a whole bunch of other sports. But this is mental. This is physical. She's taking it on. She's not making excuses, and neither should you. He is movement specialist and chiropractor out of Austin, Texas. Our next guest, Matt Smith, hasn't been on for a little while. Matt, thanks for coming back on, man.
Rex, it's good to be back, man. Great to be on the show.
Always good to be on. We're talking about you and I, and we've talked about it before. I saw you posting something the other day up online, and just with regards to something we try to talk about here on Living the Run all the time, and that is functional movement. And I think it's such a hard definition for so many people, because so many people, I think, are in that mode of, if I don't have pain, I'm not rehabbing, and I must be moving just right. But I think we kind of know that isn't the case. Talk a little bit about the movement assessments you guys are doing, and just this kind of whole concept behind functional movement assessments.
Well, the picture that you saw the other night was a picture from an event that we did with a running group in Austin, Texas, called the Austin Beer Run Club. And basically what I did was we went out there and ran functional movement screens with these guys. And functional movement screen is basically, it's this series of 7 movement tests that was developed by a physical therapist named Gray Cook. And basically what it is it's for athletes that are not in pain, basically to get markers for how they move. So really what it does is it exposes where they're tight, where they're not, where they're strong, where they're not, and just some of the deficient movement patterns that they do. And essentially the 7 movements that they have in this test are really fundamental movements for the human body. And really the test just kind of takes you through these movements. You get scored from 0 to 3 on how well you perform them. And basically it quantitates how well you move as a human being. And the importance of that is, especially for young athletes, or really any athlete, what this does is it takes pain out of the equation and just gives that raw movement pattern. And it's a great predictor for the development of chronic injuries, chronic non-contact injuries in athletes. And so basically what I'm talking about here is, you look at runners who, high-level runners who do tons of mileage, and you see these chronic injuries that they get, like plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, knee arthritis, all these big ones that you see very often in the endurance community, as well as other sporting, other athletics. But basically, it gives us the reason why those things develop and why they would develop on one side of the body versus the other. And it just serves as a really great predictor and a proactive measurement to seeing how someone moves and giving us cues on how we need to train athletes and get them stronger and optimize their performance.
Hey, Matt, you've mentioned assessing athletes, and I think, for somebody who's going home on the radio, they say, hey, I'm not playing anymore, I'm not participating in sports, or somebody else who's listening says, hey, I didn't ever play sports, I was never an athlete. But you're not really, these assessments are not just designated to athletes, but they're designated to the human being, if you will.
Absolutely. No, I mean, the way that I approach health and wellness, and I know the way that you approach health and wellness, is everybody's an athlete. It just depends on what level you're playing at, but everybody plays the game of life. Everyone's an athlete, and everyone has a body that needs to function at a certain level. And these tests really identify how well do you move as a human being, how well can you perform the most fundamental human movement patterns. In reality, if you can't perform these things, or you have asymmetries in joints in your body, that's how we get erosion and inflammation and all that kind of stuff that we talk about very often. And so doing tests like this to kind of screen yourself and see, man, I really am tight in my right hip. What does that mean? And what that means is that you're opened up to a slew of things on that right side of the body. And, we talk a lot about different ways to correct that following the test. And really what it does is, as a health and wellness professional, when we do these screens on people, whether you're a high-level athlete or whether you're, working in corporate America and just kind of want to see how well you move, what we do is we take this information of the way that you perform these movement patterns, and it allows us to say, okay, here's your game plan moving forward. Here are the stretches that you need to do on this side of the body. Here are the strengthening exercises that you need to do on this other side of the body. And so it gives us a really, really good idea of how to approach a treatment plan and a strength and conditioning program for really any athlete of whatever level you are.
Yeah, isn't it interesting, again, talking to Matt Smith here, movement specialist and chiropractor out in Austin, Texas. I know you're seeing this too, but I had a lady come in today who's dealing with, that, quote, rotator cuff-like syndromes, right? We even call it rotator cuff-like syndrome, and she even got it to the point that she says, this is so crazy, it's as if I have an injury that a pitcher might have, or that somebody who serves a tennis ball, yet I've never done that. And it's an incredible thing, right? Because you're talking about the subtleties of micro trauma through repetitive motion, perhaps, corporate America, whatever it might be, that may be asymptomatic to a point until they blow.
Absolutely. And I mean, you see, just going off of what you're talking about with this lady with the rotator cuff injury, we see this more and more in that population of, the non-competitive athlete that are running into these weird injuries. And, a lot of it comes down to just the day-to-day postures that we put ourselves in, and kind of the way that our bodies adapt to that, and the way that the shoulder functions put stress on the rotator cuff and can create some shearing effect. But essentially, we're running into some really weird injury patterns with people solely because people are, getting into this lifestyle of sitting all the time and being inactive and sedentary and all this stuff. But yeah, we run into that kind of stuff all the time. But the cool thing about these movement pattern tests is that it gives us a predictor of ways that we can approach that before the rotator cuff tear happens, which is a very, very powerful thing.
Yeah, I think so. And you're hitting on big topics that I think the average listener gets. We're trying to do the same thing with heart disease. We're trying to do the same thing with blood sugar. We're trying to do the same thing now, finding markers with cancer and so forth. Why not be able to do it with movement? And I think I'm excited over the next few weeks. Hopefully we can bring some of that to some of these people. And you hit it right on the head. One of the things we're not doing is we're not on our feet enough. And hence, maybe that's where we should start, Matt, is saying, hey, what can somebody do to assess their foot and ankle mobility very quickly? Again, asymptomatic. They're sitting there, they're driving home. They say, I don't have ankle pain, I don't have foot pain, I haven't been diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, but that they may be able to find a minor discrepancy side to side or in a functional movement that they could say, hey, if I could change this, I bet I could prevent future problems down in my foot or ankle.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of ways to approach, assessing the foot and ankle. And we use a lot of different tests in the clinic, but I would assume, one really easy way to test yourself is to kind of get into a lunge stance with one foot really close to a wall. So I'd say about 2 to 3 inches away from a wall. And all you're going to do is just bend the front knee. So say I got my right foot in front. My right foot is about 2 to 3 inches from the wall. And I'm going to lunge forward and try and keep my right heel down on the ground while I lean forward and just see how far my knee can go forward and see if I can touch the wall from that standpoint. If I can't get my knee out past my toes, there's a major ankle mobility problem there. And, you know, exactly what you're talking about. You know, we can test this in a more functional format, and but really what we're checking here is just that raw ankle mobility and your ability to go into what's called dorsiflexion, or be able to pull your toes up towards your shins. And that's a really, really important thing, especially if you're going to be doing running and really complex movement patterns. Ankle mobility is a really, really primary thing to developing chronic injuries up the chain, because anything that's going on with that foot is going to it's going to interact with the knee, hip, and low back. And so a lot of times we'll find people with these really chronic foot and ankle stuff that run into some low back pain, and really it gets nasty. But so that's a really basic test that you can do on your own that'll really assess that ankle joint for you and how well you can move there.
Yeah, and obviously then you go side to side with that. You know, you check both sides. Give us a simple solution. You know, somebody puts their foot 2 to 3 inches from the wall, tries to lunge. They can't get their knee anywhere near the wall. They can't get it over the toes. They don't have any pain at this point, but now we've just kind of suggested to them, hey, ankle mobility is obviously a problem. You're not able to pull the foot back, or as they use the term, dorsiflex. What's one thing that they could do to begin to make some just little simple subtle improvements in that ankle without having to go and buy a $50 a month membership to a gym?
Yeah, I want to stress first before I throw out any information. You know, this kind of stuff, if you're having ankle and foot pain, go get checked out by somebody. Go to your chiropractor or your physical therapist. Go to some sort of practitioner, some physio, and make sure that you're getting this thing checked out, especially if you're in pain. But one of the ways that we approach this in the clinic, if we run this test, the one that I was just talking about, where you're leaning that knee in towards the wall, trying to keep that heel down and seeing how far you can get that knee towards the wall, a lot of times if people can't perform that properly, basically what we do is we turn the test into their exercise. And so what we do is we just say, hey, go 15 reps, leaning that knee in towards the wall, just floss back and forth, drive that knee towards the wall, come out, keep the heel down each time. Okay, so you're going to go 15 straight ahead, and then we have people go 15 where they're diving their knee towards their big toe, and then 15 where they're diving their knee towards their pinky toe. And what we're really trying to do there is floss the whole range of motion of the ankle and just kind of get that opened up a little bit. It's kind of tough to talk about on the radio, but that's just one thing that we'll do. We'll turn the test into their actual exercise moving forward.
No, I think you did it brilliantly on the radio, man. Again, Matt Smith, movement specialist and chiropractor out in Austin, Texas. You hit on something that I'm so glad you did, and it's something that just, for whatever reason, isn't intuitive to people, but they do this functional movement test. They can't do it. Practice the movement. Get in and practice the movement that you're struggling on. And like you said, this is one of those things that you probably should go to a clinic, have somebody watch you do it, make sure that you're doing it properly. But then it's just repetition. Get home, do it, repeat it until it gets right, and moving better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, on future shows we can kind of go through the different tests and stuff, but there's a reason why the test is the test that's used. And it's because it's one of those fundamental movement patterns, right? And I think the better that we can perform these, I keep myself in check with this stuff very, very often. And this is one of the fundamental things, when I go into exercise and strength conditioning for myself, I always assess how well am I doing these movement patterns? Am I building myself up on a faulty foundation? Or am I really in tune with my body and functioning at my best so that as I get stronger and stronger, I'm not on that kind of faulty foundation and really breaking myself further. So, I think that these things are the way that you need to look at these things is they should be very basic things for you. They should be kind of a checklist. As a human being, you should be able to do this stuff. So I think the more that we look at it, at these movement patterns like that, the more people will get in tune with really making them a part of their lifestyle and really implementing them into their fitness program.
Phenomenal insights, man. I look forward to next week. We'll just work right up the chain. We'll go from one joint to the next. And, again, these simple things. The thing I find, Matt, that's so difficult is people all believe that in order to make some of these changes, it's going to take a myriad of time, and they just don't have the time in the day. What you just suggested, take 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes to do those 15 reps at the most to make massive changes in ankle mobility.
Yeah, man. Very, very simple stuff. Doesn't take a lot of effort, but it makes a huge difference in your overall lifestyle.
Love it.
So definitely, I'm happy to help out anytime I can.
We'll get you on next week. We'll talk some knee stuff, and again, look at that idea. I love what you brought up. Don't wait for symptoms. Look for those proactive, preventative ways to maximize that human potential. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much for having me on. Look forward to next week.
All right. He was Matt Smith. Good stuff as always. You know, he's a functional genius, but the genius in what Matt brings to the table and what we try to do each and every week, not only here on Living the Run, but in our clinic as well at the Slow Wellness Centers, is to take some of this stuff and make it simple, make it basic, and make it make sense to the common person. You know, if you say some of these things, and we've said it before on this show, when you say something that is supposed health advice and you say it out loud and it just doesn't resonate and it just doesn't make any sense, it's probably because it's not right. It's probably because there is some gimmick behind it. So many of these things, if you're doing them right, like the ankle mobility test, and we'll put this one online at facebook.com/livingtherun. This is a very, very fundamental basic test. You put that foot 2 to 3 inches from a wall. You get going into a lunge position. Your knee should be able to come over your toes towards the wall while the foot maintains itself on the floor. If you cannot do that, it means that there is major restriction in the ankle mobility. And again, what's the treatment? The treatment is learn to do the movement. These are not dangerous movements, they're functional movements, and they're very, very good movements to assess. Practice the movement. You practice them at different angles. And again, we'll put that up on facebook.com/livingtherun. But if you need to get in, get that assessed, get to a movement specialist, get them to do these basic tests, and find out how you're moving side to side and in each joint before you go out there and you start pounding heavy weights or you start running really hard and you start creating compression, biomechanical stress and strain, not in the direction the joint wants to go. Hey, look, you could be asymptomatic for a long time, but by the time the symptoms come, things could be a problem. You end up with stress fractures. You end up with plantar fasciitis. You end up with hip pain, low back pain, disc issues, whatever it might be. All this stuff is highly preventable with a proactive approach. Got to hit on this stuff. Thanks to Matt Smith, as always, right here on Living the Run. Guys, got about 6 minutes until 7 bells. We got just a little bit more on the show. We'll talk about how maybe, just maybe, check those bowel movements and maybe a big insight, big window into what you can learn about your health. That and tips and takeaways next, right here on Living the Run.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Terrick from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from LeftLaneSports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, LeftLaneSports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit LeftLaneSports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. LeftLaneSports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Art Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
Did you know that many people endure aches and pains in their feet, legs, and back, but few recognize the solution for some of the more common causes are as simple as a more supportive and comfortable insole? At Cadence Insoles, we understand the insole in your shoe provides the first line of support and comfort for your feet. Designed by physical therapists and recommended by podiatrists, Cadence Insoles provide the elusive combination of orthotic support with the shock-absorbing comfort of an insole. A local business? Visit cadenceinsoles.com for more information. Cadence Insoles. Support made comfortable.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, wrapping up another good show. Rex Stevens in, Olympian Paul Tarek out right here on Living the Run. Don't forget, Living the Run brought to you by Left Lane Sports. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve. I'm going to run out of time on this one, guys, but hey, it's all about the poop. It's all about bowel movements. You know, it came back to my attention when you really want to assess your health, that's one great place to look. And, you know, I got this puppy and he's 13 weeks old. And, you know, we do this with our animals, right? We start to analyze the way they poop, what their poop looks like, and what does it do? It gives us a window into their health, yet we fail to do it with ourselves. I talk about it all the time on this show. Digestive issues. It can be seen in your bowel movements, and, you know, for some reason we feel weird about talking about it, feel weird about doing it. But the reality is that we shouldn't be constipated for 4 or 5 days in a row. We shouldn't be going through constipation, diarrhea back and forth. And if you are, there's something going on, whether it's stressors in your life, whether it's the nutrition, whether it's a lack of exercise, something is bogging you down. We need to look at it. We wouldn't do it with our dogs. We wouldn't let our dogs go 4 or 5 days without taking a poop. If our dogs had too runny or were constipated, we would think about doing some change for them, yet we don't do the same change for ourselves. Guys, start paying attention to that enormous window into your health. I got to say thanks to my guests, CJ Silas of the CJ Silas Show. Check her out Thursday nights, 6 o'clock. CJ Silas Show, great show. And then also to my good friend and fellow chiropractor, movement specialist, Matt Smith in Austin, Texas, doing some great things. Thanks for the advice today. Next week, Judd Clark of Puma Aquatics. Don't forget the Slow Late Show tonight as well at 10 o'clock. Folks, live healthy. Live bold. It's easy to do on the Central Coast. Folks, every day, live the run.